You're 3 sentences into an email, and you've already opened 2 tabs you don't need. Your knee starts bouncing before you've noticed it move. Your hand reaches for your phone like it made the decision without you. And underneath it, that same familiar thought. What is wrong with me? Here's a stranger idea than the guilt. Nothing is wrong with you. In a moment, you'll see the exact instinct flickering behind that restlessness. The same ancient scanning system your ancestors carried across open, dangerous ground, still running now with nothing left to scan. And by the end, you'll see why trying to shame that system into stillness has always been the wrong move, and what it actually takes for restlessness to settle instead. So look at what's already happening in your own body right now. Your leg bounces under the desk. Your eyes drift to your phone before you've even decided to look. Your mind wanders 3 sentences into an email you were supposed to be writing. You call this a failure of discipline. Your ancestors would have called it Tuesday. Because that twitchy, scanning, can't quite settle feeling wasn't a glitch in them. It was the whole point. It kept them alive long enough to become your ancestors in the first place. So before you add restlessness to your list of personal failings, it's worth asking a stranger question. What if your body isn't malfunctioning? What if it's doing exactly what it was built to do, just in the wrong century? Anthropologists who study foraging societies, groups like the Hadza in Tanzania, still observed today for insight into ancestral lifestyles, describe something striking. Sitting still for long stretches almost never happens. People move in short, frequent bursts, scanning the horizon, checking a sound, shifting toward shade, tracking movement in the grass. Stillness, for most of human history, wasn't rest, it was risk. A body that stayed too calm, too long, missed the predator, missed the storm, missed the opportunity. Restlessness wasn't the opposite of survival, it was the mechanism of it. This is where evolutionary psychologists use a term worth knowing: mismatch. Your nervous system was shaped across roughly 2 million years of open landscapes, unpredictable threats, and constant low-grade movement. Then, in the span of a few centuries, a blink, biologically speaking, you were placed in offices, classrooms, and apartments. Nothing about your inner wiring got the memo. The scanning system is still running, it just has nothing left to scan. So it turns inward, onto your thoughts, your phone, your fridge, anything that offers the tiniest hit of novelty your ancestors would have found in the world outside. Think about what that scanning system actually rewards. New information, slight unpredictability, small shifts in the environment. Out on a savanna, that instinct meant noticing the rustle that wasn't wind. Today, it means your hand reaching for your phone the second a paragraph gets boring. Same circuitry, same craving, wildly different battlefield. Your ancestors' vigilance kept them fed and alive. Yours keeps you refreshing a feed that was engineered, quite deliberately, to feel like danger and reward at once. Here's a question worth sitting with, if you can. When does your restlessness actually show up? Is it mid-afternoon, mid-meeting, mid-scroll? Most people never ask this, they just feel guilty and move on. But naming the pattern is the first step to understanding it, and it's genuinely worth putting in the comments, because the shape of your restlessness says something specific about the mismatch you're living inside. Now here's the part that tends to surprise people. Foraging didn't just tolerate restlessness, it depended on it operating in cycles. Bursts of intense searching, then real rest. Movement, then stillness, then movement again. Not the modern version of constant low simmer, where you're never quite active and never quite at ease. Your ancestors' restlessness had somewhere to go. It converted into walking, climbing, tracking, gathering. Yours gets stuck at a desk with nowhere to discharge, which is a different problem than the one people assume they have. That's the reversal worth sitting with. It's not that you're too restless, it's that your restlessness has no outlet. A dog that never gets walked isn't diagnosed as broken, it's diagnosed as under-exercised. Somehow humans skip that step and go straight to self-blame. Your ancient scanning system, denied a horizon to scan, will always find something smaller to fixate on instead. That's not weakness. That's the system doing its job with the only materials it's been given. So the fidgeting, the phone checking, the inability to watch one video without opening a second tab, none of it proves something is wrong with you. It proves your environment is unusually still compared to the one your biology expects. Stillness, for almost all of human history, was rare and dangerous. Now it's the default setting of an entire civilization. No wonder something in you keeps pushing back against it. Your ancestors didn't fight this instinct. They built lives shaped around it. Lives with enough motion, enough novelty, enough real stakes to keep the scanning system fed on the outside, instead of turned against itself on the inside. That's not a lifestyle available to you exactly as it was to them. But the logic still holds. Restlessness settles when it's given somewhere real to go, not when it's shamed into silence. So the next time your leg starts bouncing, or your focus slips for the 5th time in 10 minutes, try swapping the guilt for a different question. Not what's wrong with me, but what is this system actually asking for right now? Movement? Novelty? A horizon that isn't a screen? Your ancestors' bodies were never the problem to be solved. They were finely tuned instruments built for a world with edges to watch. Tell us in the comments when your own restlessness tends to spike. That pattern says more than it seems. What would it look like to actually answer what your restlessness is asking for, instead of arguing with it?